I'll open it up. Yesterday, you were told that this game would change on 3 plays. Do you remember any of the 3 plays that changed the game?
I don't know about Coach, but we got counted early in the second quarter. We already had 3, so I think it was more like 7-10.
It was a crazy game.
Yeah, it was.
Coach,
it wasn't just one play, but I'll say this: the game certainly didn't start the way that we wanted to, and then I will say that the way that our defense came out and our sideline responded to the turnover, we call it sudden change,
right.
And it's a decision to take the momentum back, right?
Right.
You can choose whether it's a negative momentum or not. And our sideline and our defense was electric and got the ball right back. And so it was almost like it was a do-over, right? Then we went down and scored. So that's not one play, but that one situation in the beginning. It was a really bad third quarter for us, and it was a bad fourth quarter for them. The football building end zone had a lot of action, in that second half.
Right.
The end of the half couldn't have gone better with getting the ball, but then fumbling it and then running it all the way back. Just a lot of craziness. I think, when you have a rivalry game, part 1 of the Michigan MAC, homecoming, both programs coming off of, tough losses. You knew that this was going to be what it always has been, right? Just a war between 2 programs, and we are sure grateful that we came out on top.
And then before I turn over to these guys, Coach Harkema, I'm not sure if you're aware, but today's victory moves Coach Creighton in front of you in terms of all-time MAC wins today.
Well, it's well deserved because he's done a great job, and which he mentioned that they had a tough loss. To have a tough loss and come back and fight in the fourth quarter is a tribute to the entire football team. Because it'd be easy to say, "Oh no, we're doing it again," right? And they didn't do it again. They took it to them and made plays. It wasn't like Central screwed up. It was like we made plays, and making plays is what it's all about.
We kind of skipped the introduction, so got to introduce you twice this weekend, right?
All right, yeah.
And in terms of the modern era, being in the MAC and being Division I, this is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He's got our lone football championship back in 1987. They went 10-2, beat San Jose State in the California Bowl. Was MAC Coach of the Year. And what people don't talk about as much is that they were right there and runner-up in the next 2 years.
Right.
And just personally, Coach came to my press conference, has come back to golf outings, and has just always been supportive and helpful. And the group of guys that when they found out that Coach was coming back as our honorary coach was like overwhelming. So I just want to thank you. And on behalf of Eastern Michigan, you have set the standard that all the rest of us are trying to follow.
Well,
we appreciate you.
It's interesting. An awful lot of players came up to me at different times during the last 2 days to thank me. And it's a tribute to the culture that you have here. And it's just fun to be part of. And interestingly enough, I was sitting in a box in the late third quarter, going in the fourth quarter, with all the players. All the players in that room were part of the 2 second place after the Cal Bowl. This was the 88 and 89 people. And I don't know if you want to ruin the story here, but after every big play, they sang the Hurons fight song.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, so very important to him.
Alex, you want to open us up?
Yeah, just on that record, Coach, you said before, passing, Coach Harkema, on the 32 wins in the MAC record, that's good, but you're still chasing that one MAC championship that he has over you, But for you to capture this record, what does this say for not just you capturing the record on wax, but for him to say all the nice things that he's just said and everything he's said over the past couple of weeks, or last week rather. What does this mean for the direction that this program's heading in right now, and the way that this team is playing this season right now?
I don't know. I definitely don't want to overstate anything. I mean, that was a hard-fought, crazy game that really could have gone either way. I'm really proud of our team for believing. I had no idea, literally zero idea, that we shared, a record until you, told me, on Monday of this week. But we're trying to win, a championship and then championships, right? And so, like I said, he has been and still is the GOAT. And if you could have just heard him talk to our team last night, he just captured them right away. Everybody was locked in and listening. You know what he said? He said, work hard, have fun. He said, your brother as a coach has added no excuses, right?
That's right.
And then he said, in every game, there's going to be 3 plays that are going to end up determining the outcome. And our guys are, and he said, and so people come up to me and say, well, Coach, tell me which ones they are so that we're ready. And, we'll give everything we have on those 3 plays. And he said, that's the beauty of this game, is that you never know when those 3 plays, and sometimes in a game like this, it may have been 7.
It might have been 7,
when they're going to come. And he said, so why don't you play every single play like it's going to be that one? And, so we talked about that again this morning.
Right.
We talked about it at our pregame meal. We talked about it again right before we took the field. So you truly were coaching with us today. It was awesome.
Thank you. And I did tell the players that I was sitting with, and they said they were mouthing it as I said it because they'd heard it so many times.
Love it.
Coach Harkema, I want to bounce to you really quickly. I've never heard it phrased like that, where the game's going to boil down to 3 plays. We just don't know how it is.
Right.
How did you come up with that philosophy, or voicing it that way?
I remember a game when Michigan was playing, and who was the quarterback from Flint that was the great option quarterback years ago? A baseball player too. I forget his name, but right now. But
Rick Leach.
Rick Leach was the quarterback at that time. And he made a 3rd and 2 first down by 6 inches. And it held the ball for Michigan and truly won the game for him. And it was like, you don't know when that play is going to be. And that was when that play made it available for them to win. And after that is when I kind of created the phrase, because I saw and I heard Bo talk about, that was a good key play, and so it that's where it came from.
Coach Creighton, going back to how your guys' defense stood up, especially in that 4th quarter. A lot of people get caught up in second half adjustments, but really this is kind of a 3rd to 4th quarter adjustment for your defense and the offense too for getting that comeback. What had to change in your guys' team to have that sort of comeback that you did?
You got to believe first. You have to believe before it happens, right? And even when the plays aren't being made, that's the foundation for it. I would tell you the 3rd quarter for us was not good. It was not good offensively. It was not good defensively. I mean, it got to 34-16, right? I mean, it was an 18-point lead. There was no momentum. And then very end of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th, there was a play that was made, and the field, it wasn't like this craziness. It wasn't a fumble return for whatever they did, 70 yards for a touchdown, but you just knew that everybody was still in, right? So there's always offensive and defensive adjustments being made. I mean, they're in the 3rd quarter, they brought their running quarterback in, right? In the 4th quarter, they didn't have him. That was a factor, right? We were able to complete passes, still stuck with the run game, but, we were just off in that 3rd quarter. I mean, stuff was there and it just wasn't happening. And so, Cole got a shout out, and it's a lot more than him. I promise you that. But, he got a shout out, when things aren't going your way and you're just missing and whatnot. For him, to have the belief and then the resilience, the ability to flush that in the moment and to be able to play free and to come back and lead the team. I think that's part of that story, the second half as well.
7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 4 fumbles created, 4 hurries by the defense. Their quarterback situation, their number 5, I think he just started playing last week, really.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, he's been kind of hurt this year. He's ran before. What were you kind of expecting to see out of that quarterback room, and how did you prepare your defense for this battle?
Well, then they have another quarterback that's played the majority of this year, right? Got injured last week, and so we don't know whether he's going to be healthy or not. So there were, and number 3 didn't even dress last week. So it was, and this has been like this for a year and a half. There's a lot of games we're trying to figure out who we're going to defend at QB, and we ended up seeing 2 out of the 3. And that's part of it. It's just part of it.
Offensively, Delbert, I thought he had some clutch plays out there, not just on that final drive, but he also caught that shovel pass to help set up Jesus right before halftime. Your thoughts on the performance that he had leading this running back room?
I'm really proud of Dell. Dell joined us in January, and just, I don't want to say immediately, but really quickly, we just knew that he was a great fit in our program. Who he is, how he plays, all of it, right? We want the whole package. And I think it's hard to do, but he and Cole, and it's not just those two, are leading our team. He's got belief, he's got fire, he is all in, and he's been a difference maker. These last, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 weeks, right? Wasn't our starter in the first 2, and Dante, broke his leg, and so Dell's been the starter, and he's just keeps getting better and better.
At receiver, Marcus Allen, he really tore it up really early on, and then sort of later on, Terry Lockett started to heat up a lot more.
Yeah.
Had that ricochet touchdown too. Just the thoughts that you had out of those receivers and the production that they had.
Yeah, really proud of those guys. Happy for those guys. They work so hard. And again, it's been not as many years as you probably, but I think this is my 28th as a college head coach. And in rivalry games, it seems like it's those games where you have back-to-back fumbles and then one goes for a touchdown. And then you get a tip pass that gets caught. I don't know. I think weird things sometimes happen in rivalry games. Terry was in the right place, stayed with it, got the ricochet and scored. So obviously a crazy play.
For sure. My last, and it's going to be for Coach Harkema. On a game like this, you've coached many teams before. I don't know what your biggest comeback you experienced was on the sidelines, but what could a game like this do for an Eastern Michigan program that's trying to move forward here?
Well, it can do wonders depending on how the players react to it, and that, well, we really did have it in us, as opposed to weren't we fortunate. So it's, and I'm sure Coach will spend a lot of time. That's the real you. You follow me? And here's the other interesting thing, and not being critical of Central Michigan, but they start to get tight. See, when that changes, you're on an up and they're on a down. And it's kind of like a boxing match. You better get in there for the knockout. And they did. So it's the ebbs and flows of the game, but it's dependent on, do you just have that excitement that you did it, or is it a teaching moment?
Thank you.
Jack, a couple more questions so we can get Coach upstairs.
Okay. With this week being homecoming, this question goes for both of you. What do you think made this homecoming game special compared to previous homecoming games in your coaching careers?
Yeah, ever since 2016, whenever our buses pull up 2 hours and 15 minutes before the game, all the parking lots are already full. Tents were being set up around the field on Wednesday or Thursday. So there's just, our guys know it's whoa, this doesn't happen every game, right? And gosh, the the football and the all sports, down in the north end zone in that tent where so much of the action happened. And, we played in COVID when nobody was allowed to be there and play our hearts out, coach as hard as you can, right? And then when there's a bunch of people that are back that care and are making noise, I mean, part of that, the momentum there in the third quarter, they got, 2 or 3 false starts.
Right.
And I think a lot of that was the noise,
Sure.
and that's not normal, in Mac Stadium. So had a great feel to it today.
All right. And today's game, Eastern's defense really put up some good blocks and plays. What was the strategy of today's defense being successful?
Well, we had to get ready for a number of quarterbacks, right? And I will say it this way, we got away from what we do best and really believe in a little bit last week. And so I think our defensive staff wanted to get back to, who we are and what we do best. And so that was a strategy, not even dependent on who we were playing, right? And then you always put a plan together. We got to stop the run and pressure the passer. We couldn't give up explosive passes like we did last week. And they still got a couple, but not like last week.
All right. What did you see in Central's defense that led the Eagles to challenge them deep today?
Yeah, we knew that we had to both run the ball and throw it. And to throw it, we had to protect. And, they got to us some. And again, I mean, we got to a place in the third quarter where, we were out of rhythm. And so a lot of credit goes to them, for that. But our offensive staff made adjustments, but stuck with still wanting to run the football and then found ways to protect to be able to throw it. And, our wide receivers had a day.
All right. I guess my last question I had was with Gomez, there were some tough challenges, throughout today's game, third, fourth quarter, second, first, throughout really today's game. With Gomez, you utilizing Gomez to be successful, how do you think the team benefits using Gomez each week?
3 points every time he tries a field goal. And, a lot of those kickoffs are touchbacks. And then I think we covered all but one of the kickoffs pretty well. So he's a huge weapon. And we're sure glad we have him.
You bet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Alex, hold us up.
All right, Trey. Obviously, crazy game.
Yeah.
Is this like top 1, top 2 craziest game you've ever been a part of?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially the, 16-point comeback?
A little more than that.
18-point comeback? Oh, yeah, this is one of the ones for sure. Just kept playing, keep the intensity high, just making sure no one, doesn't believe in that we can get this done, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the mindset after going through that drought and then getting out of it, just scratching and clawing our way through it.
Yeah, for Central, their quarterback situation, their starter was out for the year now. They had a backup who was starting, and then they had another backup who finally got to play this week. What were you guys kind of expecting to see out of Central's offense, and what was your game plan for it?
Just a lot of, obviously, run heavy, but obviously we shut down the run at half. I think they had 26 yards rushing at half. So we're trying to figure out how to stop the QB run, obviously with 3 and 5 rotating. I think 3 was more of the runner and 5 was more the shot guy. So just kind of just switching between different calls that we like versus each situation that we're in.
Yeah, and then plus once the third quarter got going, number 9, their running back, he got going with 100 yards in that quarter.
Yeah.
And then you guys had to clamp down in the fourth.
Yep.
As your coach said, not a good third quarter for you, not a good fourth quarter for them.
Mm-hmm.
What had to be the difference for you guys to complete that comeback?
I think just our will, just us wanting to just win more than they do, obviously. Our mindset never changed. It was always just we can get this win and just keep executing the calls and just trusting my teammates and trusting the coaching staff dialing it up.
For you and your defensive end room, you guys are making a lot of plays, yourself included, a lot of rotation to go into this game, not just today, but all year long you guys have been rotating a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say to, the way that you guys are just so deep at that position and the way that you guys are coached by T-Garden? How's things looking for you guys?
I think this room is probably the deepest room I've ever been in. All of our guys are capable. and all of us are capable of making big time plays. It just, my number was called today, and I just, make some big time plays. And as far as Coach T coaching us up and keeping our room upbeat and going, just, it's a brotherhood, and we all do this for each other, obviously. So us just having that mindset and then let the next dog eat, and then no one's tired, just always keeping fresh legs rotating. I think this gives what gives us the edge on opposing offensive lines.
Was energy or emphasis, enthusiasm, was on any of that kind of a point of emphasis for you guys coming in to open this game up with?
As far as what?
Just to play with more energy than you guys.
I mean, obviously it's a rivalry game, so you're gonna get more pumped up for it, and the emotions are more high and stuff like that. I feel like versus Miami last week, we came out really flat, and this week we turned it up a notch, and just kept betting, just kept believing. You know what I'm saying? So that was the mindset around that. Yep.
All right. So for my first question is, this week is homecoming week.
Right.
What made homecoming special to you?
Just obviously this is my first homecoming at EMU, so it was exciting seeing all the crowds and the tailgates and all the people cheering and chanting and being enthusiastic. You know what I'm saying? So this is a great first homecoming experience for EMU. So I think it was awesome, man. Yeah.
All right. And as a player, what was your strategy before today?
My strategy before today was just, like Coach Needham said, we're going to box it up. We're going to keep everything inside the box, keep everything contained. Just go out there and just set edges. You know what I'm saying? Just setting big edges and making sure that we do our 1/11th.
All right. And were there any challenges for you for today's game that really put you up to the test, so to say?
I think the challenge was just those last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter or 7 minutes of the fourth quarter when we really needed it. I feel like our whole defense, me, Justo, Peyton, all those guys just stepped up to another level and knew we needed to go get this, and we did. We took it.
And what were your thoughts, on Lockett? Your thoughts when the ball was coming his way. What do you think was the team's?
Oh yeah, Lockett and Allen. Oh yeah, we like anything one-on-one with those guys any time of the week. Obviously you can see those guys have big time games. Our offense relies heavy on those guys, and those guys just keep showing up.
All right. And what are your thoughts on now winning the MAC trophy?
Man, not yet. We didn't win it yet. Not yet.
Oh, sorry.
Not yet. This game was just part one. Like Coach Creighton said during the week, this is part one of getting the Michigan MAC. So, obviously we play Western Michigan the end of the year. So we just got to get the end of the year, get that Western Michigan done so we can hold it that big MAC trophy, Michigan MAC trophy.
And how do you think the coach motivated you to make this homecoming special?
I mean, Coach Creighton emphasized it all week. This game is going to be a big-time game, very physical. It's obviously a rivalry game, plus it being a homecoming. So that was just the point of emphasis, just go out there and just set the tone early and just produce.
All right, that's all I have.
Cool. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.